So back in 2015, James made a video called My Inner Human Relationship, in which he talks about some stories of him and his friends. This video begins with him talking about the person that helped him become who he is today. But why don't we ever hear about this person? And why was the video deleted?
I randomly asked her, will you say faux shizzle? Because she's black. She said no.
Yeah, he makes a petition to get 100 people to get his black friend to say faux shizzle, and then shows the audio.
I asked her if I could show the video, and she said no. What if I get 100 people to say no? So sorry, guys. Here's the audio.
Okay, then say it.
Okay, faux shizzle.
Yay!
Between you and I, yeah, don't do this. What about the friend? Within the video, he claims they're still friends to this day, but are they? Back in 2019, a Tumblr artist named Dangle made a call-out post talking about her experiences with James. Dangle and this person are, well, the same. By the way, the reason I'm here is that when Daft contacted Dangle, they said they'd prefer him not to talk about this stuff since he's white, so I'm here. Which, despite all the terrible ways that James treated Dangle when they were younger, that doesn't make it okay for her to be heavily prejudiced against white people. By that, I mean her specifically saying she can't trust white men anymore after talking with James. As much weird/terrible things James has done, this isn't a free pass. But today, I'm Simile Adu, and first, showing off proof if they did talk to James, they showed some of James's old art, DMs, and even posts that were once reblogged by James, only to now be deleted. Noting in the DMs and the video, he would often ask her for help. The post, after showing the 2012 art, starts off with Dangle talking about an early experience with James. Using sign language, he says,
LOL, sign language. Hey black girl, why can't I draw like that?
As a reminder, there's a video floating around where James and 2 of his friends were using sign language for a video. It's possible Dangle is that person, as James only mentions having one black friend in high school. She continues her story saying that after being friends with James, she permanently crippled her ability to trust white men, so when she saw him at Phoenix Fan Fusion, it sent her into a 3-day panic. To see his child audience praise him, with her knowing how damaging he is behind the scenes must hurt deeply. Among critiquing his comics, she even gave him his first copy of Paintul Sai. Wow, that's like a lot of help from her end. She essentially was the one who started his career. She continues, stating that James only saw her as black girl, and she thought that when being friends with him, she could help him be a better person. However, over time, she stated that James only used their friendship to improve his work and prove he wasn't racist. Dangle links a Facebook conversation, the one mentioned previously, and wow, James really likes to argue about race. He states,
To me, a white person, racism is the typical, this pool is for white people only.
Which, no. There are subtle things that can also make you racist. Case in point, within the same paragraph, he talks about how he only dislikes negative stereotypes, and proclaims that if he was black and ate fried chicken, he'd say,
Hey fool, shut up! And still accept my love for fried chicken all the same.
He then goes on to say that he doesn't understand what's wrong with Uncle Remus from Song of the South, a film he never saw? Is James really that arrogant? Oh, then he compares it to Jar Jar Binks for some reason. Didn't think that when a person of color tells you something is bad, you double down with some weird analogy. In the conversation, he shares a photo of himself for whatever reason, as if he hadn't just tried to say the existence of Sebastian from The Little Mermaid was racist. The conversation ends abruptly, possibly because he noticed she wasn't really responding to him and then asked for a critique on his comic. This whole conversation feels like James saying words at her and trying to reinforce his own beliefs without having an actual argument. She continues stating that they were talking about this back in 2014 when he was 18. Showing off comics he made at the time, and there it is, the faux shizzle video. Wait a second, it's gone? Let's go back to that. Dangle asks James why all of the characters are white except for her, and he says because it's more relatable. Maybe that's why in his current banner it's just a bunch of white people. James also points out their friend Tiffany with "she's Asian" and draws her with slanted eyes. P.S. That video with Tiffany is still up on his channel, so you must wonder what qualifies to get deletion from his channel. She states that their friendship ended in 2015 when James was asking if he should take a gig or not. That gig was voicing a black character. She told him he shouldn't, and he said he was going to anyway. Of course, many will point out that it's in James's every right to voice a black character, and that anyone can voice anyone. But for this case, a close friend of his told him not to, and he didn't care. As the last thing she said to him was, I can't be friends with someone who thinks this way, and him responding,
Okay.
She caps off this post asking people to like, share, and repost it on Instagram. That's all there is, right? The same year, 2019, James actually contacted her via Tumblr. Within it, he describes how a fan sent him the post and said that he wanted to run into her at the convention. He claims he didn't know he had a negative impact on her life. Really, James? The person you specifically made note of being black, and the last convention you had with them, she was crying, and now you didn't see anything wrong with your friendship. He goes on with a non-apology. I call it that because if you actually read it, he addresses nothing about what he did and claims that
The world opens up when you leave high school.
remembering he had non-white friends in his younger years, one in which he debated racism with, so he also says that
I only have good memories of you in high school, as one of my best friends.
the same friend he used and constantly argued with about race. For making me cry, I want an apology for using me, my race, my knowledge, and my talent as a step for him to gain followers. Dangle was never mentioned in new videos as helping him get to where he is today, and even in an old Foot of a Ferret video, it paints a picture that James learned with little to no help. Interhuman relationships stayed on James's channel for over 4 years, reaching over 12 million views before he took it down. To me, he didn't take the video down because he cares, but because someone called him out for it. Remembering that he apologized for a tweet rather than his act 20, this blog was updated as it started to get shared around again. Within it, she states that she doesn't give permission to talk about this in videos, rather just contacted her. He has yet to publicly talk about this, actively ignoring the situation. If he truly cared about what he did, he'd do so on his own accord, and us talking about it in videos helps. Looking up on Twitter, Faux Shizzle, Dangle, and Dengle, well up until this point, it's mostly forgotten about. But that's it, right? Please tell me that's it, and he still doesn't have weird race stuff in his current videos, and this February 2019 Metro article where he says, I want to make good quality videos that will last a long time. Sounds bad when taken out of context.
It's funny I call myself the odd ones out when I'm part of, like, no minorities.